Hey, it's Monday. Braun, Pierzynski, and Todd Father. You guys miss Kratz yet?
Who?
No.
There's this backup catcher who used to be on the show named Eric Kratz, but he's fighting tigers in the wilderness.
He's not fighting tigers. He's fighting lions.
Oh,
He's in Africa.
Siberian tigers.
Are there not tigers there?
No.
How do I know? I'm sorry. I don't go on bougie African safaris.
Tigers are like in India, bro.
Okay.
Are you sure there's no tigers in there?
In Africa, where he is, there's no tigers.
All right, maybe he's in
I've been there. I've been 100% sure there's no tigers.
Okay.
There's leopards and lions.
Cheetahs?
Cheetahs.
So there are no tigers in Africa.
Not South Africa.
Oh, South Africa.
Not where he is.
Okay. Despite popular misconceptions and occasional sightings, experts agree there are no native populations of tigers on the African continent. Sorry, I'm going to struggle today. I have allergies acting up. Tigers are native to Asia.
Thank you.
Todd Father, I didn't know that. They didn't teach us that in Jersey.
No, but lions are there, no?
Yeah, they got lions.
Yeah, they got lions.
That's what I meant. No, I'm just kidding.
Lions, leopards, cheetahs, elephants, Cape buffalo.
I saw, real quick before we go, I saw a video today of Bengal tigers hanging out. Then they brought in a Siberian tiger, and those things, they just bowed down like this. I'm like, bro, them Siberian tigers they're like 2 times the size.
They're like the king?
They're king of tigers.
Yeah.
That's
all. Good to know.
That's all I got from my little tidbit today.
Yeah, I just learned a lot. So Kratz will be back next week, by the way. If you do miss him, or if you don't know who he is, he'll reintroduce himself to the world. Let's charge the mound today, powered by our friends at Teaza, and pick up on some signings from the offseason, or from the weekend, I should say. It's been the offseason. The Hector Neris to the Cubs. The guarantee is 1 year, $9 million. There is an option, and it's a club option unless he hits 60 appearances, then it's a player option. And also with some incentives, it could end up being like a 2-year, $23.5 million deal, but it only gets $9 million on a 1-year guarantee coming off a season when he had a 1.71 ERA, a 2.46 ERA plus in 68 and a third innings, 71 appearances. Did the Cubs just get themselves a little steal?
Not as much as you think.
I thought he was going to get more than that.
If you look at what Stevenson and Chapman and some other guys got, I feel like, yeah, maybe. I mean, it depends on how he pitches. If the option picks up, it gets a little more what you thought he would get. 23, that's almost 12 a year. That's a little different than just the 9, but it's a good signing for the Cubs. And if he pitches the way he did for Houston last year, pretty good.
I mean, Todd Father, Robert Stevenson got 3 years, $33 million. Chapman got double-digit money. David Robertson's deal is a little unique because there were deferrals in it, but I still think it was a drop higher than what Neris got. So why do you think all these dudes get more? I mean, Neris is going to be in his age 35 season. Velocity was down a tick and change last year, but I think he's pretty damn good when I watch him.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think they did get a steal here. Did he have other teams in play? Now we got to question that as well, because I think a lot more teams would have came on board if they knew about this. I mean, $9 million for a superb reliever that can go 7th, 8th, or 9th inning. I know he has the 2-pitch mix, but it's been lethal all through his whole career. There's been spurts of him getting hit around, but guess what? He's a nice back end bullpen piece. I'm not really a fan of that bottom part where it says turns into a player option at 60. So, if they're getting close and all of a sudden, they're up 10 games in the division, are they like, we're just going to rest you? Like, so that's, to me, that's a little tricky at the end of the day. But yeah, I feel like they got a steal here.
You can file a grievance if they did that, but I know what you're saying.
I've seen teams do it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
I lived it 1 year. I saw a team I was on release a guy, and he was 1 away from a big number. They released him.
Ain't that something?
Pitcher?
Mm-hmm.
Appearances?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the name or no?
Yeah, it starts with at and ends with Lana.
Oh. What about the player?
Starts with A and ends with Arjma.
David. Wow. I got to look back to that. Was that publicized or kind of snuck under the radar?
2015.
He went starts with A, ends with R.
Well, it's AAR, so.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Well, if this is not public info, guarantee you
pretty
it gets
public.
picked up.
I mean, it was kind of a
Was
big
it public?
deal
Did he?
because he
get
was
pissed?
like he came in 2015 and we traded away everybody and we were like 40-40. We traded away like the whole team, and he came in and was doing a great job for us. I mean, he was like one of our because we had all like rookies after we made all these trades, and it was like and I had played with Ardsman in San Francisco and the White Sox. This is my third team with him, and I was like, oh great, this guy, great to see him coming back, this and that. And it gets to like he literally was one game away. He came back from road trip. I'll never forget. We came back from a road trip, and he was one game away from like six-figure starting to kick in. They're like,
Wow.
we're gonna DFA you today, and everyone was like, huh?
And he wasn't even pitching poorly.
No, he was pitching. He was one of our better relievers.
Wow.
I mean, I got to look it up, but listen. There was some surprise people.
This is bigger news than all the signings.
He's got to make the grievance though, so it's like it would have been heard of more if he did. I think, right?
I mean, that was the last time he pitched. I mean, he had a 4.7, but 30 innings, 25 hits, 35 strikeouts
On a bad team.
on a terrible team, and then he never pitched again after that, which is amazing. But yeah, he got DFA'd. Oh, now I got to look at the transactions when he got DFA'd. But
well, because he hadn't pitched in the big leagues since 2013 with the Mets. Pops back up with Atlanta. Makes sense that they would throw some incentives on it, Todd Father, to be like, hey, if you pitch.
Released on September 1st by the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. September call-up. Sorry, bud.
There was a guy. There was a guy that needed like 18 at bats, and then he wanted to pinch hit. They didn't let him pitch hit, and he went up there on his own and pinch hit, and everybody in the dugout nobody said a word. It was the funniest thing in the world.
They didn't want to pitch it?
No, I felt like because they didn't want to get him because if he needed I think he needed like a certain amount of the bats to get another incentive, and he said, "Screw this, I'm going." And he told the guy that was on deck to go back in the dugout, and he did. And he went up there, 3 pitches, strike 3, got another bat in now.
But he didn't get to his number.
No, they ended up trading him before that happened.
That's kind of epic, though. He just said, sit down.
That reminds me of Eric Milton. Remember Eric Milton back in the day?
Yeah.
He had some big incentive where he needed like 200 innings, and he was like 2/3 short. And Tom Kelly, our manager, was like, he let him pitch in relief to hit the number. He brought him in the last day. He had started a couple of days before, but like things like that happen a lot. Remember CC lost one because he drilled a guy?
Yes.
Lost like $500,000 one year.
But then they gave it to him.
So he gave it to him. Yeah. So there are instances of this kind of stuff happening, but it gets shady, especially like let's say the Cubs are in a pennant race. I know Todd said they're 10 games up. Let's say they're only like a game or two, and they won't go to Craig Counsell and be like, hey man, we need to save this player option. Don't pitch one of your best relievers, would they?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, good.
Football, they do it all the time at the end of the game, man. Listen, what's the name needs 5 more receptions. Let's get it to him. Then like there's a minute left. Hike. Throw it to the guy real quick, even though you're up 14 points, it doesn't matter. And then he takes a knee. Like I've seen it before. Like it's crazy.
Todd, most of the NFL games in that last week, 17, don't matter, right? So the most exciting thing for most people is watching those individual accomplishments. They're like, oh, is he going to get the sack? And then you see him get the sack and he won like $1 million and you're like, let's go.
We're not even going to acknowledge the Chiefs and the 49ers
are going to
play in the Super Bowl? Okay.
Yeah, good. Okay. Bravo. Patrick Mahomes, again, you made the wrong decision. You should have been a pitcher like Daddy.
Yeah.
You would have been a legend.
Yeah, really?
Obviously, I'm kidding.
I think he made the right decision.
Come on, Pat. Baseball, one time.
Kind of like Kyler Murray made the right decision.
He actually did financially.
Kyler Murray?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely he did.
Gosh, he'd still be in the Oakland A's minor league system.
But he still wouldn't be getting paid.
No. Kyler Murray would have like, I don't know, $40,000 in career earnings versus, he gets $40,000 a snap probably. So anyway, we're totally on topic, but back to Neris for 1 second. So, okay, I think we all agree he got paid a little less than anticipated. Remember, his agent or whoever was putting out there, he wanted a 3-year deal, $50 million, didn't even touch that.
No.
I think it's a nice pickup, but where are we at with the Cubs?
I mean, it helps.
Yeah.
Another piece for their bullpen, which was their major problem at the end of the year last year. But, I mean, it's not a hater signing. It's not a game changer. It's kind of like who did we say was man the other day that we were talking about? Somebody was like, nice.
Jock Peterson?
Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay. It helps their offense, but we were looking for JD Martinez, Jorge Soler.
Yes. This is like it helps the Cubs bullpen, but it's not like, oh, they got that lockdown closer now in the 9th, and you're like, okay, everyone like, yeah, we got Josh Hader, we got whoever, we got Mariano, we got somebody, we got Trevor Hoffman.
He might close games, by the way.
Who, Neris?
Yeah.
No, they got the one guy.
Alzolay?
Yeah, is that the guy?
Yeah, but he's gotten hurt a lot in his career. I've owned him in fantasy leagues. He's great, but I'm saying Neris is probably your backup now.
Yeah.
Leiter had a really good year for them last year. Merriweather's pretty good. They acquired Yency Almonte in the deal with the Dodgers. They're remaking their bullpen.
They have to.
And they signed Carl Edwards Jr. to a minor league deal.
It was good for them a few years ago.
He was actually pretty good last year with the Nats. He was only on a minor league deal. So this is actually playing out to what they said, Todd. I don't know if you were on the show with us when I was kind of pissed. I heard Carter Hawkins on an interview, who's their GM. He's the guy right below Jed Hoyer. He was very well-spoken, great personality, but he just was saying how he was essentially saying they're looking for bargains. Well, they're doing it, so I got to give them credit there.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody's looking for. I think if we go through the deals that are made, we've been through a bunch of them. We're like, not bad. Okay. We haven't really we've talked about money, but in favor of the player. I think this one might be the only one so far where we're like, yeah, he left a little meat on the bone there, to get what he really wanted. Maybe it's too late because, spring training starts in 3 weeks, but I don't know. I felt like maybe he could have waited a little more time, maybe got, even something a little closer, a little more guaranteed.
Here's my thing. Like the Cubs aren't buying for his last year. I feel like they're buying for his career. Like last year he had a 1.7 ERA. Okay. But before that, 3.7, 3.01, 5.10. There's a 2.93 in there, 4.57, 3.63. 2022, he was a 3.72. So they're buying, assuming he's a career 3.2 ERA, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But they're not buying the 1.71. It doesn't seem like anybody was, right? So they're buying what they feel is a above average reliever that can come out and give him. I mean, he takes the ball. Listen, you go.
He's very durable.
79, 74, 53, 68, 20, 20 will throw out. 74, 70, 71. So if 60 is the number, I mean, unless he gets hurt, he's hitting that number.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you might as well just chalk that up. So basically, the deal looks a lot better when you look at it like that.
Mm-hmm.
For him and for the Cubs.
And you're projecting forward. I mean, he's about to be in his 35 season. The velo was down. That's what teams start to look at. Because I was like, why does he get less than Aroldis Chapman? But Rosenthal put out a nice piece on that. He's like, Chapman's stock was rising again with the velo going back up and his stuff playing up again this past season. So anyway, the relievers and that whole carousel keeps spinning. So let's look at a couple other signings before we talk to Evan Drellich as our first guest. Tell me what you like. Adam Ottavino signs with the New York Mets. Might as well stay on the relievers for a sec.
I mean, he got way less than I thought he was going to get.
I felt like he knew something was up when we were talking to him now, knowing when we did talk about the Mets. He was like, oh, yeah, it's good. It would be good to stay home. Like, yeah, he felt like something was brewing there.
$4.5 million.
But he turned down what, 6.75?
He turned down
5. I don't know the exact number.
Well, it had deferrals. So what he turned down present day value was 5.4.
Okay.
So it's about a $900K difference.
Yep.
In what he had. But yeah, same thing. I mean, velocity and strikeouts were down a little bit. Still, 3.21 ERA, 66 appearances. He turned down his player option.
Ron, I gotta take this real quick.
Oh, good. So anyway, I mean, we had him on for a sec. About a week ago. Tell them that they got to join us live.
No, they can't. This is crap. I hope they didn't hang up.
I still like
I
that.
lost him. Never mind. We're still here.
Pandemonium today.
Don't worry about it. Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Ottavino? A little less than you thought? Todd Father?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's worth more than that. But again, we're late in the season right now, dude, in the winter season. So some guys are like, man, here we go. That old saying, should have get off the pot. Like, hey, listen, they're going to put pressure on you now. These GM, all, from every different team. Hey, listen, they might just say, we got another guy we're going to go with if you can't take this deal. I've been a part of that. I remember like it was yesterday when I was signing with the Mets. They said, listen, we got somebody waiting here. You know, you got 24 hours. Let's make a deal. So I think we've all been a part of that. It's kind of shitty, but at the same time, it's late in the season here, so people are gonna have to make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's well, we've talked about this. I think I've talked about this before. It's like buying a house, right? Or selling your house. Like, say, Todd, you want to sell your house, and you're like, it's worth $10 million, and you keep getting offers for $2 million. And you're like, nope, I'm holding out for 10. And then no one ever buys it. And they're like, you get 10 offers for $2 million. Guess what? Your house is worth $2 million. You better sell it for $2 million. You're never going to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like being a free agent. I tell people that all the time. Like, I might think I'm worth 20 million, but every team calls me and goes, hey, you're worth 1 million. Guess how much I'm worth on the open market?
1 million.
1 million. I better take it, or like Todd says, shit, or get off the pot, because that's what you're going to get. And ain't miraculously some team going to come in and go, damn it, he was right. He was worth 20 million when everyone else is offering 1.
Yep.
So
because they talk, bro.
Of course they talk.
I tend to believe that all these guys talk, and it's kind of screwy, because I wish players would talk too. Because I remember we had those things going on where we thought, honestly, hey, I had a deal for 1 year, 3, and then that night, an agent comes back, oh, this team asked 1 year, 3. I'm like, bullshit. I said, these guys are colluding, man. There's some stuff going on here, and it was, everybody was getting skeptical about it. And I talked to another guy, same thing. It was weird. Nothing ever came into that. So
no,
they're scared to talk about it because they're afraid that it'll get out and they'll lose their offer.
Yeah,
it's like, right. I don't want to say anything because if I tell them,
you can't talk about it while you're playing, basically.
No, but I mean, but I don't understand. We should.
I agree. Well, that's why we have this show. I'll actually ask a question to our guest based off that, but a quick look at our friends at Teaza. TeazaEnergy.com. If you want to check out the site, 20% off. Use the discount code FOUL, F-O-U-L. If you're out there, you're a baseball player or otherwise, or you know any, and they're dipping, tell them to stop. It's terrible for them. So no nicotine, no tobacco. Kind of fills the void there. Check it out. TeazaEnergy.com. All right. Let's get to our, 1 sec. I'm being told for Evan Drellich. Oh, he's coming back in 1 sec. All right. Well, I'll make this point while we're waiting for him. Okay?
Yeah.
I think we are at the point in the offseason when you have the teams that are hyper meticulous, that can't make really strong decisions and look at players based on value and bargain versus I want that guy, right? We always talk about the Braves. I want that guy. I get that guy. I'm not worried about $1 million or $2 million, right? Even the Cardinals are like that, whether they make the right decision or not. They often make their decisions early in the offseason.
They do, but they're also not. They're not going to go out and spend $700 million on Shohei either.
Of course. I'm just saying that you get to this point in the offseason and you're dealing with, in my mind, the teams that just look at a computer and say, this player is worth this in our system. So let's bring in the Athletics' Evan Drellich right now. I'll throw the conspiracy theory out.
We'll talk to Evan about it, but they don't.
Wow.
It's like, okay, so that's an unbelievable mustache.
That is incredible.
That stopped me in my tracks.
Evan in a minute.
It's like, okay, I know Scott didn't watch the football games last night. But
absolutely did.
Teams are like super heavy analytic, right? Well, Dan Campbell should have kicked 2 field goals. They might be going to the Super Bowl.
That's not his style, AJ.
I understand that, but there's point in time where you got to change your style in the middle of it.
Well, that seems to apply to many teams.
Like Evan Drellich changed that face with that mustache. I don't know what he's thinking.
Evan, no, I like it. I think it's great. It really surprised me. Evan, first off, before we get into everything else, do you know what I'm saying? So you get to this point in the offseason, there's teams like the Cubs that have been just kind of hanging around and saying, oh, we're looking for the best values. Well, now is a time when they can do that. So I think for some free agents, you're looking at teams now that say, this is the number we have you at. If we can get you at this number or less, we'll sign you. If not, we move on because that's what our algorithm says.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think teams also know that at this point in the offseason, when we're getting this close to spring training, this is when players, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, you start to feel it. You want a deal before spring training. And so I think the power is in the team that's saying, yeah, look, this is what the numbers say for us. And if you want to be signed up now, and then, more power to the guy who can stand there and say, no, I'm worth more, and maybe waits until he can't wait any longer.
Hey, one for you recently also on a team that you've covered extensively in the past. Were you surprised that Jim Crane made the move for a Josh Hader to go out of character? I thought it was awesome and a good sign for them when, they've definitely taken a hit with their prospects and getting punished, obviously, for the sign stealing scandal. You wrote a great book about them. So this is not normal for Jim Crane, right?
Yeah, Jim Crane doesn't like to spend in free agency, but it's still the total dollars are not that crazy. Taking the question position out of it, and you got to remember the Jim Crane Astros now are running the show differently than they did under Jeff Luhnow. Jim Crane seems to be much more hands-on. I think Dana Brown's got a different philosophy than Jeff Luhnow had, and they're making decisions that I don't think the prior administration would have made, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think there could be moments where maybe they do make a decision that goes against the numbers in a way that makes you scratch your head. But if Jeff Luhnow had done that, I would have been pretty stunned. Jeff Luhnow's not there anymore. I don't think the Astros are the same Astros. They're not our Astros of yesteryear.
Well, it's all your fault, Evan. I mean,
you're welcome, AJ.
Yeah, you wrote that. First of all, you wrote that book, and I remember I had it in my backpack, and I'd fly to Houston to do a game, and I'd just take it out and set it like next to me, and you'd get some good looks, man. People I'm on the plane to Houston, they all have their Astros gear on, and I just hold the book up, and I'd look over and see what people were like.
Did you really do that?
Oh, it was so funny because I had it in my backpack after I'd finished reading it, so I literally just take it out and I just put it like this where people could see it. And I tell you what, you get some funny looks from those Astros fans.
They love me in Houston, baby.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. So you recently wrote another article about the age thing in the Dominican. Now, I remember playing, guys would get like to spring training, and we'd have like 6 birthdays for them because they'd go from like 24 to like 30. And it was like every day we'd have a new birthday for them. We'd bring a new cake to them, like, hey, 25, 26. But I thought they had cleaned it up, especially after 9/11. I remember there was a big deal because they started bearing down on people's passport ages and all this. And I know going to Canada, a couple of guys got caught because after September 11th. So what's the new strategy? Because I remember guys were like taking dead relatives' names and they would buy names off people and stuff. So what's the new strategy? And how are they getting away with this?
It's funny. We were talking about the Astros and cheating because there is a through line here, which is that if in any world where people think they have a shot at making a lot of money, getting ahead, getting some sort of advantage, they're going to take that shot. And the more money that goes in the international market and these early deals keep cropping up, well, there's incentive to have a young player look as young as possible. And so there are going to be people who find ways to take advantage of that. Exactly how they're doing it, we heard a lot of different things. One person speculated that they found several of these false IDs were tied to perhaps one geographic area, or that they repeated use of one hospital name or one school name. But that's not a confirmed thing at this point. Paperwork in the Dominican Republic, is spottier as a generality than the United States. Someone might not have a birth certificate at the time they're born. They might get the birth certificate later in life, at which point, who's verifying that age is really what it is. Players of Haitian descent, paperwork in Haiti is also spotty, and perhaps even spottier than in the Dominican Republic. So it is a difficult environment for enforcement, but you also have people who got smart and might have figured out a little bit of what investigators at MLB were looking for and tried to beat the system and might have beaten the system for a time. So it's a mess down there. It has always been a mess in a lot of ways. But talking to the executives, Ken Rosenthal and I talked to, and player agents and people who are dealing with this world right now, it's pretty chaotic.
And I think people need to understand they're doing this in your article, what you wrote, to 12, 13, 14-year-old young men. And I trying to make them, I guess, younger. That would be the biggest thing. So you wrote that Nathaniel Perez Nero, I didn't want to say it wrong, but he said he reported that over 50 cases have been shot down in the past couple years here. I mean, what is MLB going to do about this? I mean, I feel like they got to do another thing to stop this, no?
Yeah, it's not clear to me if they're going to now step up their enforcement or what the next step is. That's probably the follow-up story we have to work on here. But yeah, the reporting of the 50 names from Diario Libre, all these names that are circulating around, and we didn't publish any names, the news of these deals gets around the industry in WhatsApp chats, various group texts. There is no official register of early deals because early deals aren't supposed to happen, and yet they happen all the time. Meaning, you're not supposed to be striking a deal with anybody below 16, but you do have kids who are saying, I'm going to sign with X team 4 years from now, 3 years from now for millions of dollars. And the only way people know about that is through these WhatsApp groups and through these text messages. So it's word of mouth. It's kind of a rumor-based world, and we had to go to different people who actually were closer to the situation to be able to publish what we were able to publish. But it's, you're trying to track something that shouldn't exist in the first place. It's really a difficult thing. But I don't think MLB has a choice but to do more, except if you want to be the cynic and say, well, MLB really wants a draft, and so the more chaos that's down there serves MLB's interests.
No doubt. Is that why you grew out the mustache so you could go undercover down there?
I'm 36. I'm trying new things.
Are we sure?
Let it ride.
Are we sure? Looking closer to 40 with that mustache, you might want to. We might have to.
No, he's got the Tom Selleck on.
Do a quick check. I don't know.
Oh my
he's down there.
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck is a big pull, but I mean that's a stretch, but it's okay.
He was more talented at baseball.
Also great. He was Mr. Baseball. Let's not forget.
True.
That's true.
So besides the mustache, I mean, listen. I know when I was playing, I'm not going to name the team because they already got in trouble for doing some stuff. But there was kids that were already saying we're going to sign this kid and that kid, and and it was already like a done deal, and they were not 16 years old, and the international signing period had not happened yet. So, how do they stop this? Because there's what the agents, they have a name. What are the agents' name? They have like a name down there where they like get these Busconis. They get the kids, and they're basically like they push them towards certain teams, right? The teams almost like pay them to make sure, we'll sign a deal with you. And this is like when they're 13, 14. 2 years from now, we'll give you $500,000 as long as you promise. And then the teams and the Busconis basically hide these kids out. Like they literally like hide them so the other teams can't get to them. It's a crazy world down there when it comes to like, especially kids that are going to get a bunch of money.
Yeah, and a draft would fix virtually all of this. If
you work for the league now. You work for the league?
Well, let me explain the issue. The issue is MLB wants a draft and the dollars associated with that draft to be nowhere close to what the U.S. draft is like. And so this all comes back to money, right? If it didn't have anything to do with money, you would have a draft immediately. But the offer that MLB keeps making to the union and what the union wants, it's not lining up because there are other forms of corruption down there. It is not simply the early deals. Yes, the draft will eliminate the early deals. Well, what eliminates the ridiculous 50%, 40% cut that a trainer down in the Dominican is taking from a player who is then drafted? That exists now. A kid goes into somebody's training facility, works there for years potentially, and so there is a real investment on part of these people. But the amount of money they can end up taking from these players is, it's gross, frankly. And there are a lot of just gross practices in the Dominican, and it can feel lawless. It is baseball's wild, wild west. It is, to me, as somebody who covers off the field in this sport, it is the closest thing we have to kind of moral imperatives and even at times matters of human rights. I mean, this is really about the treatment of people in a country that is a lot poorer than the United States, and how these kids fare, how they do. If they don't make it, are they getting the proper education? It's a really heavy loaded area, and the union and the league do need to come together and find ways to improve it. Unfortunately, as is the case with almost everything in the world, not just baseball, money holds that up.
It's crazy. It's a different world. I mean, then kids here meet with scouts, and Todd, you meet with scouts, and scouts talk to you, and you get recruited to a college. But down there, there's just nothing. I mean, they get a guy who trained a guy who then likes him, and then they're like, I'll train you, but you got to give me whatever 20%, 40% of what you signed for. And it's work. I mean, it's some interesting stuff down there.
Well, do you know, Evan? I mean, on the international draft aspect, what's being discussed behind the scenes? We clearly know there is one side versus the other in that case. And to take people back on a history trip, when we had the last CBA that was agreed to, they were trying to get that done in exchange for ditching the qualifying offer. They gave themselves what I believe a July deadline, and it didn't happen. So the qualifying offer remains. The qualifying offer, by the way, is really stupid. I don't understand the international draft part of things. So in terms of, why there's so much for and against, but do you have context on where that's at?
Yeah, I think at the moment it's quiet. So the lockout ended. Instead of settling it at the moment the lockout ended, they kicked the can down the road into that summer. So summer of 2022. And lo and behold, they couldn't come to an agreement that there's been any sort of reopening of those talks since. Certainly, it would come up again in the next CBA. So this deal runs through 2026. They can at any time decide we want to talk about this again. It's not common, though. It's not common that during a CBA, while you're kind of smack in the middle of it, that you would do that. But they could if they wanted to. But it is a complex fight. A draft system, kind of by default, is not great for economics because you don't have teams competing. But obviously, in this setting, there's another side of it where when you have teams competing, a lot of ugly stuff is happening. But you have to figure out the dollars, and that's really the big holdup. But there are other areas, the education, what kind of commitment is being made there. It is messy. The labor fight over it is messy, and what happens down there is messy.
My last question on this, I know you talk about the DR. Have you heard of other countries besides DR that have these problems going on too, or are you just strictly about the Dominican Republic?
The Dominican, and this was backed up by the executives and the agents we talked to. This is really centered in the Dominican Republic. The paperwork in Venezuela, for example, is better. Haiti, as I mentioned earlier, that can be an issue as well. But the majority or vast majority of age fraud is really centered in the Dominican, and that's obviously where a large amount of top talent comes from.
Hey, Evan, last thing on this for me is you're talking about age fraud and you're talking about this. You're talking about a worldwide draft, right? Which has been a big thing that MLB has been pushing for years. Okay. It's one of their big negotiating tactics that I just feel like it's such a negotiating tactic. I don't know how serious they are about it, right? It's like every time the CBA comes up, they're like, we want a worldwide draft. That's one of the things the Players Association has to shoot down. So they're like, oh, we'll take that off the table, but we need this, right? So again, to me, it seems like, first of all, they're getting players for mostly cheap, right? MLB is getting an influx of Latin American players, and they're signed cheaper than American players most of the time. Okay, yes. There's no draft. So MLB, deep down to me, it doesn't seem like they really want an international draft. It's just more of a bargaining chip at this point to keep going to the union and saying, hey, Players Association, we want to, and they put it out there in the papers, and Rob Manfred does a great job of publicizing it. And then all of a sudden, when it comes down to it, it's always the first thing off the table. Yep, worldwide draft off the table. So is it more of just a bargaining ploy by the owners than a real thing they really want?
You have to remember, I think I was just touching on it a bit. The MLB management, owners will always want a system where you can remove competition. And that is the value of a draft. And that is the reason why they're willing to get rid of the qualifying offer. There is a real economic value to going to a draft system. The league, if it was about morality, if this was about doing the right thing, really on either side, then it would already be done. But it always comes down to the money and the amount of money that for the union, they look at the big gap between the U.S. amateurs and the international amateurs. Where people get really cynical is when they wonder if MLB is doing all it can to enforce its own rules. We don't hear a lot about MLB catching teams for early deals. I had one person, front office member in the international space, attempt to correct me in the story. We said it was rarely disciplined. He reached out to me afterward and said, "You're wrong. It's never disciplined." And so it makes you wonder: could MLB reasonably doing more to keep it clean? And if it's clean and it's working, well, then that lessens the incentive for people to go, "Oh, they got to change the system. This is awful." It's really a screwed up dynamic. I don't know how else to say it. It is perverse, and I don't see it changing anytime soon unless one of the two parties decides to come to the other and say, hey, we're going to change our previous position. We've got to do this. It's sad it hasn't happened yet.
It's actually interesting, but it is a controlling regime right now that's in charge of the league. So for them to just be like, oh, you don't want to listen to us? Fine. Let's just create some problems by not policing something. I buy that. I do. So it makes sense.
You're sinister.
No, well, you know what? Let me get Evan to a much more clearer picture. Let's talk TV money with you because you've also done a fantastic job covering that this offseason. So where do we think we're at there? And I've been utterly confused about some teams and their hesitancy because then publicly, even like this weekend with the Twins and Thad Levine spoke, and I think their president spoke. It doesn't sound like they're totally blaming the TV money for the lack of spending and the cutting of the payroll. So I don't know where you're at with, witnessing certain teams that have just sat on the sidelines. The Guardians are another team, even the Rangers to an extent being quieter than usual, of how that's been used as an excuse, but they're not talking too much about it.
Yeah, we haven't seen teams kind of have the courage, and I'm not sure what exactly they fear in this, but they're not coming out and saying directly it is because we are unsure of our TV money. They are alluding to it. It is easy to connect the dots, and this angers certainly agents I've talked to. I'm sure the union isn't happy about it because they look at it and go, well, the owners will take any excuse they can not to spend. I've spent a lot of time on the RSN stuff. It's actually the next piece I'm working on. It's a follow-up there. And it is an interesting question about the long-term outlook and how much money will be there, because it is going to be very, very difficult to replicate the money that came in through the old cable model. The old cable model was beautiful. You live in New York. You are not a sports fan. You are not a Yankees fan. You're not a Mets fan. Guess what? You sign up for Time Warner Cable, you are paying for Yankees or Mets games. If we go to this world where we're away from the RSNs and the old cable model, that's gone. Everybody has their choice now of what to buy or not buy. And so MLB was getting a lot of money via these regional sports networks from people who didn't care about the sport. And now that's being threatened. And so the cable model is actually good for baseball. It's good for sports teams because it's a commitment of upfront money. I have a little bit of empathy, truly, for the position teams that are in here. They don't know exactly what their TV revenue is going to be like in a few years. Everybody, Rob Manfred, Tony Clark, they both say, well, live sports, the value is there, the value is there. All right, but is it going to get close to the money you had in the old system? And that's really, truly a billion-dollar question at the moment. So I think teams are right to be a little skeptical with their spending. The problem is we don't have access to the books. How much money are they making otherwise? How much is it really eating into their margins? How much of a hit are they actually going to take this year? A team like Cleveland, for example, their deal's being renegotiated. How big a drop off is it? Are they getting 80% of what they would have gotten? We don't know yet. Whether the drop off actually amounts to the caution they're showing in free agency, I think it's fair to still be skeptical. It is always fair to be skeptical on finances when we do not have access to the books.
Evan, so you're saying that the model is dead, basically. The model that got MLB to the money because of streaming, right? Because basically streaming, and people now are cutting the cord, and people now are just streaming whatever they want to watch. So how does MLB keep up, right? What's the next step for MLB to try to keep up? Is it go strictly streaming? Is it to come up with their own package where you stream baseball? I don't know. What have you found that people are saying is the next step for a way to MLB to keep up with other sports? Because listen, the NFL has a perfect model, right? They play one game a week and everyone tunes in, and YouTube charges you an arm and a leg for Red Zone and for Sunday Ticket, right? NBA seems to do better nationally than MLB does, just because. But what's the model? Because MLB is so regionalized. What is the model to try to recoup some of this money?
So the interesting thing is that the old model is still desired and probably going to stick around to some degree. It's going to be hybrid. I think that the idea that cable is dead, and that's been out there, and it's not quite right. There are still a lot of people who sign up for linear TV, and that model's not going away. We're not going to a world where tomorrow teams are not going to have the standard RSN and be available on cable. What is going to happen is you're going to have that, and maybe that gets you a little less money, or definitely gets you a little less money. But teams are also going to be able to use their digital rights, their streaming rights, and that's where it gets interesting. Is how does MLB package that? Do we get to a point where all the teams or a lot of the teams are available in one package that you can pay for? So that, I'm a YouTube TV subscriber in New York. I cannot watch MLB Network, the Yankees, or the Mets. I'm a national baseball writer. It's ridiculous. But if they could get to a point where the teams have their rights back, because some of these rights have been signed away, and they pool them together, you could sell an all package in market. I'm not talking about out of market. I'm not talking about MLB TV, where you're watching games outside your city. I'm talking about you are in the city and you can still watch that team. But that's going to take years. And so it's going to be a hybrid for a time. And the thing to watch is, how do those digital rights evolve? What does MLB end up doing with them? Do they sell them to an Apple? Do they sell them to a Peacock? Do they Amazon? And the interesting part about this, the big market teams make a lot of money from their TV rights. They're not going to want to just say, yeah, sure, we'll jump in and split it evenly with you. No, the Yankees don't want to prop up the Rays and the Marlins any more than they already do with the revenue sharing. And so it sets up the classic fight in baseball of big market, small market over the TV rights. So it's going to be a fun one for a few years, and it's going to be a real slow burn.
I mean, it just feels like MLB is always behind on certain things, and this is one of them. Whether it's blackouts, whether it's this, it just seems like they're always behind. But I mean, we could do hours upon hours of this just trying to figure out what the next step is. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like they're always behind. They were ahead. Remember when MLB TV first came out? They were like way ahead of everybody. Now it's like, oh no, they've fallen back behind.
And that was what, 20 years ago?
At least.
It was a long time ago. It's hard to find games. I don't feel like there's a plan. And even if there is a plan, it's confusing, because it's at one point, Evan, and I feel like this is changing. It seemed like the league was going to kind of, or at least their plan was, like you mentioned, to take over everything. And maybe they even run it, and then it just kind of gets licensed to be on another platform. Of course, the problem I'm going to have with that is a younger audience that's watching games digitally can only bear so much PR speak coming at them. So I do think that it is in their favor if they have someone else with rights to the games, so that they don't have to worry and look behind them at, the owner of the team or the PR at all times. Obviously, everyone has their line, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have to toe the company line so much, I just feel like there will be, and there already is, an authenticity issue, Like, AJ does games for Fox. Fox isn't owned by a team, so he can still go on there, and if he needs to be critical, he can be critical. We don't get that in regionals. I think that's starting to hurt the younger fan. What do you think?
Yeah, the more direct the relationship is, the more cautious I think you will find announcers to be. And that's part of the question is, well, what would the structure, if you get to a point where you have those rights back, and this takes years, because as we're seeing with this Diamond Sports Group and the Bally situation, they years-long contracts. So you need to get the rights back in your hands. And at that point, you need to agree on how many teams are going to pool together, if they're going to pool together. And then it's, well, how are you producing the games? Is Amazon doing it? Are you doing it, like you point out? Yeah, I think there is still ultimately some sort of relationship that exists there, that if AJ says something on Fox that's really gets under Rob Manfred's skin, he has the ability to call up Fox, but it is easier certainly to call up, say, the guy who's your direct employee at MLB Network if somebody says something at MLB Network that people don't like. So, I think a layer in between is healthier. It's never going to be, totally devoid of, well, there are certain things we're just not going to go as hard on. They're not going to do an Evan Drellich style report on the air, and that's okay. That's not what people are tuning in for.
Okay, since you have the mustache and the Magnum PI, I'm wondering what your next work is. You say you've told the story of the Astros cheating. You've told the age story now. Now you're on to TV. So if you want to do a story on, like, I don't know, 1997 Hawaii Winter League champs. I mean, I know some people that were on that team. The Sharks were me and Gabe Kapler. 97 Hawaii.
Is there a scandal involved?
No, but he has a mustache. I figured he'd fit in. We could get some short shorts for him. Maybe I don't know if we can afford a Ferrari. Maybe more like a convertible Bug, and you can drive around and we can talk.
No, I'm AJ. I'm in because I was in Boston twice but I missed the year or whatever. Well, I don't remember how long you were there, but the years you were there, the years I was in Houston. So I always heard about you and heard what the Red Sox writers thought about you and covering you and all that, but I never had the AJ Pierzynski experience. So yeah, let's do a ride along. You have to get the mustache too. Let's do it.
Oh, I tried the mustache. It doesn't. My mustache doesn't work very well.
The beard works.
Beard works. Mustache. Yeah. Not. Frazier could pull off the mustache. The mustache and me just don't go. But yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I was. It was three. It was 3 long, hard months, Evan, in Boston. You know, did my time.
Yeah, you did. You served your time.
I served my
exactly.
I got a Purple Heart for that one.
Yeah. Well, I moved away twice. I'm not moving back a third time. Let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are both gone for good. Yeah. Evan, awesome to see you again, man. Let's do it again soon. Great work on the article. We thought it was important to kind of lay out for people who needed a little more explanation verbally. So appreciate you, man.
See you guys.
Thank you. Evan Drellich writes for The Athletic. You can check out that story. Obviously, we covered a sliver of it, but I encourage you to check it out in The Athletic, and also can follow Evan at his name, at Evan Drellich with 2 L's, Drellich.
I mean, honestly, like the book about the Astros is unbelievable. If you haven't,
Evan's an incredible writer.
If you haven't read it, it's worth time and effort. And that's why I was wondering, what's his next book going to be about? Is he going to write about this?
He's not going to tell you.
Why not?
He's just going to smash it in everyone's face with a little breaking news. Something's going on. I mean, he is one of the game's best and I think most underrated writers and reporters. And I can tell you, the way that he's backed up in the game is there are people behind the scenes that work for teams, the league, agents, so all sides of the game, right? Who compliment him behind the scenes and basically say they can't, publicly, but they're like, that's the guy. So just throwing that out there. He's great. And Michael K is going to join us in about a minute. I know we've got a lot of Yanks fans questions already. In the chat, a lot of people are like, ask about Bellinger to the Yankees. So was it Mark Feinsand that put something out?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So did that happen during the show? Because did I miss that? What did he say?
I don't know. I'm trying to look on Twitter right now.
Well, can we get our fans to help us out there? Oh, it was last night. What, that the Yankees are still interested in him at the right price?
I think everybody should be interested in him.
Yeah, at the right price.
And I'm sure the Cubs are interested in him if they can get him for a Hector Neris deal.
That's the one thing I want to point out about the Cubs, okay? Because I know we covered the Neris deal earlier. I still do a power rankings in the National League Central right now. Their best player last year was Cody Bellinger, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, he's not there right now. So if he does not re-sign, if they somehow do not get him what he wants and he goes elsewhere, I have the Cubs as a 4th place team in the NL Central right now. I don't have them better than the Reds. I don't have them better than the Brewers. I have them close with the Cardinals. And obviously they're better than the Pirates. So
yeah, but wouldn't Cody Bellinger look good in a Yankees uniform, even though they have Soto? I mean, he'd still look.
Why don't you ask our next guest?
We're going to
bring him in.
He's. I don't think he's ready.
No, he's ready.
No, I meant for what he's about to get.
Well, give him a warning. Go ahead.
It just did. We got Frazier here. I'm sorry, Michael K. We have Todd Frazier with us.
Michael K. joining us right now, voice of the Yanks for a long time. What? Michael, how you doing? Great to have you on here for the first time. What's up, man?
Nothing's up. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we got fans already in the chat today, Yanks fans, asking about Bellinger. What do you think is the percentage chance that Cody Bellinger, after this offseason now and everything the Yanks have done, ends up with the Yankees?
I'd be stunned if that happened. I can't see it happening. I mean, I know everybody thinks the Yankees have a bottomless pit of money, but their payroll's over $300 million right now. They don't have a spot for him in the outfield. I mean, you make a spot for Cody Bellinger, but you've got Soto in right, you've got Judge in center, and you've got Verdugo in left. And defensively, you've got Trent Grisham that you're going to put in there as a 4th outfielder. I think if they spend any more money, it's going to be to bolster the bullpen rather than bring in Cody Bellinger. I mean, Cody Bellinger is an outstanding player, and he gives them versatility, especially if Rizzo is hurt, and I don't think he is. I think Anthony's going to be fine. He can play first and center, but I just don't see it happening, especially at the price. Even if it's a discounted price, I don't see the fit once they made the Verdugo deal.
Michael, what's going on, brother? Everything well?
Everything's great, Todd. How you doing?
Good, man. The show's doing well. I've been watching it, man. What do you think? I talked to Booney about this the other day, and he gave me, some different kind of, lineups. I'm curious to think, where do you think Soto fits in that lineup, and how's the lineup going to look to you?
Well, it's funny, Todd. I had lunch with Aaron the other day, and we talked about the lineup, and he said this publicly, and I don't get it, that he wants to bat Soto second and Judge third. I said, well, why? He said, imagine the protection you're going to get for Soto. I said, so what? How about the protection you get for Judge? I said, you guys have been so married to having Judge bat second because analytics tell you if you're the number 2 batter in a lineup rather than number 3, you end up getting 30 more at bats per year over the course of the season. I said, and Scott Boras, it's been known, called up San Diego last year and said that Soto only wanted to bat third. Now, one of the strengths of Boone is that he's a great communicator and he can convince people to do things. He said, I've already spoken with Soto. He's cool with batting second. I said, okay, it doesn't make much sense to me. I'd rather give Judge the protection since he's the home run guy. Soto is a 35 to 40 home run guy. If Judge gets protection, he didn't even have it when he hit 62. Maybe he hit 65. But I think it's going to be fluid, Todd. I think they're going to change things around a lot. But I think the first thing, probably the opening day lineup, you're going to have Soto batting in the number 2 spot and Judge batting third.
Michael, how big was this deal for the Yankees with the Soto? I mean, it's one of the few times where you actually see a fan base like publicly say, we want this guy. The Yankees go out and get him. I mean, can you imagine with the Yankees fans if Soto would have gone somewhere else, the reaction? So how big is this move for the Yankees? I mean, obviously left-handed offensive, but also a protection for Judge or vice versa the other way. I mean, this was the deal the Yankees had to make, right?
They did, and you can see by what they gave up, AJ. I mean, they gave up a lot. They didn't want to give up Michael King. They love Michael King, and they were a little short on starting pitching. King would have been really important for them. And also the kid Thorpe is thought of as a guy that could really be a pretty good starter in the big leagues. They gave up an awful lot to get Soto, but you know what? They had to. They had to change the perception of the team. Every time they've gone to a postseason, it's not the pitching that failed them. It's the hitting that failed them. This is one of the greatest players of all time statistically. You can't hide that fact. He's that good. And that's why they gave up a Michael King, and that's why they gave up a Thorpe, because they knew this is a deal that we can't not make. I get from some Yankee fans when I do my radio show, oh, they haven't spent anything in free agency. Well, it doesn't matter. They got the best player that was available, and they're paying him $31 million a year. I mean, the only question with the Soto deal, guys, is whether or not they're going to be able to retain him, because it's going to cost a lot of money to retain him, but they are going for it this year, especially after not making last year. And they've done that before. In 2008, when they didn't make the playoffs, they went out. They got AJ. They got CC. They got Mark Teixeira, and they won the World Series the next year. So they're throwing all their cards in the middle of the table, and they're going to try to win it. And I think Soto's a big part of it.
So there was a lot of injuries last year, a lot of ups and downs. Luis Severino, he was up and down, and then he just fell off a little bit. I want to ask you this year coming up, who's the biggest variable, man? You can go a lot of different ways here. There's a lot of different guys who need to step up. So for you, who's the biggest one in your opinion?
The biggest guy for me, Todd, is Carlos Rodon. I guess I'm one of the few people in New York that still believes in him. I look at the year that he had with the White Sox and then the year that he had with the Giants. This guy is a stud. He's a great pitcher. And if he returns to that and is a legitimate number 2 behind Garrett Cole, that makes him so much better. And every single report that I've heard about Rodon, he got to Tampa like a month ago. He's in unbelievable shape. And somebody in the Yankee organization actually told me this, and it's a great line. He said, getting punched in the mouth is an unbelievable motivator. And he got punched in the mouth last year. He was out the first half of the season with injury. He came back. He had an awful start at the end of the year against Kansas City, where he turned his back on the Yankee pitching coach, Matt Blake. He blew that kiss in Oakland, which I didn't think was a big deal, but it was certainly made a big deal. I guess it was in Anaheim. It was made a big deal here in New York. I think he's a legitimately great pitcher who needs to return to what he did. And it looks like everything that I've heard from down in Tampa, he's locked in and ready to have a big season.
That's good. That's good. So, Michael, we had Kim Kirchin and Ken Rosenthal on last week, and they're from Baltimore. They're Baltimore Orioles guys. And I asked them, and I want to ask you the same question. Are the Yankees right now better than the Baltimore Orioles if neither team makes any more moves?
Well, that's a tough one, AJ, because Baltimore won 100 games last year and the Yankees won 82. So I think they won 101. So that's 19 games they have to make up. Did they make up 19 games? I'm not quite sure. I think the Orioles are missing the boat, not going out and getting a big time pitcher. They should be in on Snell. They should be in on Montgomery. But it looks like they're just going to try to keep riding with kids. I just don't think they have enough pitching. I think they could win the American League East, but I don't think they have enough pitching to win a playoff series. So, long answer to your question. I think the Orioles are still better in the American League East. I think the Yankees are a better playoff team than the Orioles because of their pitching and their bullpen.
Let me ask you this. Marcus Stroman jumped into the picture here. Now he's with the New York Yankees, longtime Toronto Blue Jay and other teams. I remember there was a little beef I thought you guys had back in the day a little bit. Now, are you guys going to talk like they did earlier with the Yankee, or what they did with the Yankees earlier?
Are he and I going to talk?
Yeah. Are you guys going to have that conversation?
I guess it's up to him. I mean, Marcus is obviously very active on social media, and this is, I guess, when he was with, the Blue Jays. And I remarked on my radio show that he should let his pitching speak for itself because he's such a good pitcher, especially when he's locked in. He's a real weapon. He doesn't need to be going back and forth at fans and punching down. Now, I appreciate that because I'm about as thin-skinned a guy as you'll ever meet. I mean, you can almost see through my skin. It's so thin. So I get where he's coming from, but he's a big league star. He's an all-star. He didn't need to be doing that. Anyway, you know how Twitter, now X, works. Fans got to Michael K's ripping you on the radio. I wasn't ripping him. All I said was he should stay off social media, let his pitching speak for him. And he dug up this thing from a fan where a fan said that I was a racist because I'd never had a black co-host on my radio show, and I'd done my radio show at that point for 20 years. Now, I find it hilarious. I don't hire anybody. I don't get to choose who I'm working with. The company hires them. You can question them why they hired the people that they hired. And then Marcus retweeted that, and at the bottom he said, well, now I see why he doesn't like me. And I thought that was an unbelievable cheap shot. And, you could call me a lot of things. Todd, you've known me. I'm a lot of things. I'm not the best guy in the world. Racist is not one of them. So that really, really, really got my goat. And, whether or not he wants to address it, you know the way the business works now. I mean, does the play-by-play guy really have to interact with the players? It would be beneficial. I mean, I get the chance to talk to Judge and Stanton and Rizzo, but if a guy and I don't have a relationship, I mean, I guess we don't have a relationship.
Yeah, and for me, like going back when I used to play against Strome, we always used to jar at each other, bro. And that's the nature of the beast, He would do his little shimmy, and I'd say we all scream at him, "Stop doing that! Somebody hit a home run off this guy and keep him quiet." But he's a good baseball player, and I think at the end of the day, he's going to help the Yankees. I think you would agree with me on that.
Oh, I totally agree. If he's the pitcher that he was in the first half, where he got to the All-Star game with the Cubs, and it's a home run for the Yankees. It's one of the greatest signings during the offseason. I mean, at $18.5 million a year, you get a guy who has a lifetime, I think, 3.65 ERA, keeps the ball on the ground, which is what you need at Yankee Stadium with the short porch and right. He's an unbelievable competitor. The Yankees have a very good infield defense, which I think is going to help him. I think he could be an X factor on this team. That's how important he could be, whether he talks to me or not.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He's going to be good either way. Right.
I kind of want to be on that first plane flight when Marcus is looking for a seat and Michael's sitting there and he's like, maybe. I'm going to keep going.
You know what? I'll end up standing, AJ.
Okay. I have nothing but respect for that answer.
Yeah,
nothing but respect.
I respect that
answer.
too. All right, well, let me get your take on a guy they missed this offseason, Michael Yamamoto. So they don't get him, and it was leaked by at least one person that said, oh, well, they didn't want to go above the Cole money. I'm good, just observing from the outside as a neutral observer, if they hit a point where they're like, this guy is not worth $350 if the Dodgers now got to $325. I'm good with that. I don't like if they're actually serious about saying, well, we don't want to go above Cole's number, which also, by the way, is going to be $360 once he gets that option picked up, I think, after this coming season. So did you buy any of that and think that there would actually be a thought process like that? Because we know Garrett Cole wouldn't think that way. He wants to win.
Yeah, I've never been able to nail that down, that was actually the case. And you brought up a great point. he's going to opt out at the end of this year, which he has a contractual right to do. And the Yankees, in order for him not to be a free agent, they just have to add a 10th year to his contract. So that would be a $360 million contract, and that tops what Yamamoto had. You can't play games like that, because let's go to the offseason of 2024 before 2025. If you want to keep Soto, it's going to be $50 million a year. So are you not going to do that because that's more than Aaron Judge makes? No. Free agency is a matter of timing. You might not be as good a player, but you're going to get more because you became a free agent at the right time. I just think, guys, that they set a number, and they also got the sense that he wanted to be in LA, because I had been hearing, like 3 days before he signed with the Dodgers, that the Yankees thought that they were the 1 yard line. They thought it was done, and they just didn't feel that they should be chasing their tail. And their average annual value that they offered him was more than what the Dodgers offered him, because they offered him 10 years at 300, and the Dodgers got him at 12 years. So I think it's like $28 million a year. Yankees with $30 million a year. I just think he wanted to play in LA, and I think he wanted to play with Ohtani, which I think is a surprise, because a lot of people in baseball thought that Japanese players don't want to be the second Japanese player on a team. But Yamamoto felt it was more important to be with Ohtani than anything else. So the Yankees made their best run. The Mets made their best run. And I think if the Yankees had gone up to 350, the Dodgers would have gone up to 365. So even the Mets didn't top the number. And they really wanted him and needed him as well, because they figured there's no chance he's going anywhere else. He's using these numbers to drive the Dodgers up. I think the Dodgers would get him no matter what the number was.
Wow. I mean, he just wanted to go to LA, it seemed like. From the answers he gave, he was going to LA. It feels almost like the Yankees could have offered him $500 million, and he would have been like, I'll still go to LA for I mean, it would just seem like that, and whether it was Ohtani's influence or what, but good for him. Listen, he's a free agent. He can pick where he wants to go, and he got paid either way. So good for him. So last year in spring training, we had I don't know, she's not your co-host. She's your
Meredith?
peer. No, we had Susan on.
Oh, Susan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I asked her straight up.
Yep.
Yes, no, I know, but she's not your co-host. She's your peer with the Yankees broadcast. We asked her straight up. I said, "Are the Yankees the best team in the American League?" Her answer was, "Are the Astros still in the American League?" So I'm going to ask you. I know you kind of said about the Orioles, but are or can the Yankees be the best team in the American League this year?
They can. I think there's questions, AJ, that have to be answered in the affirmative, and I don't know if they are. Is Rodon going to be great? And I think he could be. Is Nestor Cortez shoulder, is it okay? Is Marcus Stroman first half Marcus Stroman or second half Marcus Stroman? And then what's the jump that Clark Schmidt's going to take? Then you got to hope that Rizzo comes all the way back from the concussion. I think he's going to be fine. You have to hope that DJ LeMahieu is a guy that is the second half DJ, not the first half. And then the wild card is going to be Stanton. Is Stanton going to be able to stay on the field? He's going to be able to catch up with fastballs, which he had a little bit of trouble if you look at the analytics last year. So that led to him cheating to try to get around on a fastball. Then he'd be susceptible to something off speed. So I'm not trying to dodge your question. There's a lot of things. If they're answered in the affirmative, I think that they're one of the favorites to go to the World Series. If they're not, then they could have a rough year. But I don't think they're going to have a rough year. I'm not sure if they're going to win the American League East. I think the Astros' last 3 innings of a game with the addition of Hader, they're going to play a 6-inning game now. It's like the Yankees back in '98. So I think the Astros are still a team that you look at and go, they're going to be really good in the postseason. The Rangers have a lot of injuries at the pitching. Whether or not they bring back Jordan Montgomery is going to be important as well. And then you got the Orioles, who have great young talent. And I still think they are going to sign a big-time star. If they do, then they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I hope they land Snell. I think it would be awesome for them if they do. What? Why are you laughing?
Because you sound like Derek, our Yankee fan.
Hey,
man, they're going to sign Snell. They're going to sign Montgomery. They're going to sign Bellinger. They traded for Soto. Who else is left?
No, I don't buy the
Matt
Bellinger
Chapman
stuff.
to play third.
I don't buy the Bellinger part. Well, last thing I want to ask you about the Yanks was just thoughts on Brian Cashman kind of going for it a little bit more over the past several months. I mean, you've covered him for a long time. Obviously, this team's had a ton of winning, so when they finally don't, the fan base goes off. Reporters kind of start putting things out there. So what did you think about, some of his comments? I think were pretty effing good, among others.
Well, Todd knows me. I'm certainly not a Puritan, but I said at the time, and I'm sure Brian didn't like it, I understood his frustrations, the stuff that he said at the winter meetings, but I just thought that the way he said it is not really befitting the way a Yankee GM should have been speaking. And he kind of walked that back a little bit, but he was really, really angry. And it still gets me this. I don't know who he was angry at, because I think he's been treated fairly and very well, and I think he's earned that from the New York media, because I think he's done an unbelievable job, and I think he's a Hall of Fame GM. So he must be reacting to fans, because there's a segment of Yankee fans on social media that despise him. Every move that he makes, they hate. So I think he got a little frisky and just answered back at them. It couldn't be at writers. It couldn't be at broadcasters, because I don't think anybody's been unfair to Brian. But I think that Brian really got tired of all the outside noise and finally answered back. And Brian also, in his defense, he was answering for the whole system that he's built and the people that work under him. He felt that they were being maligned as well. And, I will give him one break on last year. People always say you can't use injuries as an excuse. Well, you can't. They might not be an excuse, but they're a reason. The Yankees were ravaged by injuries last year. There was no way that they were going to be able to win. When Judge went down after running into the wall at Dodger Stadium, the legs got cut out from under them. And then, Rodon's out for the first half of the year. It went on and on. Rizzo with the concussion. It just was not a good scene. So it was hard for them to absorb. In the past, they've been able to be next guy up. There were too many next guys up last year. And I think that's what ultimately got them. I think that Brian saw that. And he got ticked off that people kept saying, well, he's lost his fastball. I personally don't think he's lost his fastball. He's made some deals that have not turned out the way he would want. But, you could say it about any GM in any sport. It's going to happen. So I don't mind that he defended himself. The profanity that he used. There are kids that, are big Yankee fans too. I didn't think that was the coolest thing.
My last question to you before we let you go. The Mets. We got to talk about the Mets a little bit. A couple good free agent signings. Harrison Bader just signed out of Vino, and they got Luis Severino. How are they going to look this year to you, in your opinion? Are they going to be the Kings in New York? What do you think?
I don't think this is the year of the Kings of New York. I mean, their pitching is really, really short. I mean, they're banking on a lot of guys. Like, I think Severino could be great. I love Severino. I love watching him pitch. And when he's healthy, he's dynamic. But he hasn't been healthy for a very, very, very long time. So there's no Verlander at the top of the rotation. There's no Scherzer. Your lead guy is Senga. I like their lineup. I think their lineup is a pretty good lineup. I think Alonso's going to have a good year. I just don't see that they have enough pitching. And I don't know if their bullpen is deep enough. So it's interesting. Everybody else in that division has gotten a little bit better. I think the Mets are building for the future. And I see what David Stearns is doing. But I think it would be really, really surprising if they're a contending team this year. Could they squeak in as the last wild card? Maybe. But if you actually do the math, Todd, and look at all the teams in the National League, I mean, you look at the division winners and then say, well, are the Mets better than the other three teams that are going to make the wild card at this point? I say no. And now somebody's going to call me Yankee boy. Thanks, Todd.
That's okay.
Hey,
we want homers.
I like homers. I'm a homer.
I like homers for my announcers. I want you to root for me if I'm on your team. If I'm watching, I want you to root for me. I don't want you to root for the Mets, Michael.
Yeah, he's a White Sox homer, so apologize.
Well, you know what? It's funny. It's funny, AJ, because like in New York, that's just not accepted. Like if Gary Cohen and Gary with the Mets, if we rooted for our team like openly, we get crushed by the media guys. In Chicago, it's good guys 2, bad guys 1. It's a different ecosystem. It really is.
It is.
Yeah, well,
I've had a conversation with Gary about that, like a heated one. And
really,
but it worked out at the end. It would just. I'm like, when are you gonna? You've been here for 30 years. Like, when are you gonna root for our team a little more? Get on there. And it was a span of everything. Players were getting mad. We had a great open conversation, and it actually gave me a little more respect for what he does and he respected more what I had to say. So it was actually really
what's funny, Todd, with Gary? Gary is truly, I'm telling you, he's the biggest Met fan alive.
Without a doubt.
He wants the Mets to win so badly, but he will rip them really hard when they're not playing well. But he wants them to win more than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Listen, I want that as an announcer and as a fan. I want my guy to root for my team. And listen, thanks, Michael, for also ruining the thing that Ken Rosenthal says all the time, that reporters don't root for their team. So thank you for that. Now, I do have a question.
I don't think writers root for their team.
Sometimes
They root for good stories and quick games.
True. It sounds like broadcasters. Good stories and quick games.
You got to jump. Final thought.
Yeah, okay. I got to ask this as someone that's worked with David Cohn and some of the other guys that you've worked with. Who's your favorite guy on Yes to work with? Yeah, I mean, because you guys have about 50 of them over the years. So who's your favorite guy?
You want to file a resume? I mean, I really do. The best combination that I enjoy working the most is Coney and O'Neill. That's a lot of fun. I mean, they get along. We all get along. You know, we go out to dinner
Wait till I talk to Flash later.
I love Flash.
I'm just kidding.
The best three-man booth is me, Paul, and David. But, you know, David with the ESPN, he's not going to be doing as many games this year. So we'll have to find another favorite booth.
Hey, you just want Paul O'Neill to stay in his basement, right? Where he's like in his basement at Jimmy Coney.
AJ, Paul O'Neill wanted to stay in his basement. The travel was
great. It's a good gig if you can get it.
Seriously, I mean,
great
games.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Trust
me, as someone that does games from my house, it's much more fun to be at the stadium and do them. But listen, if they want to pay you the same amount to sit at home, not have to fly and travel, well, I mean, who's complaining? Not Paul O'Neill.
He was in the booth all year last year, and it's fun when he's in the booth because I've never ever in my life seen a guy with a 32-inch waist never stop eating. The guy never stops eating, ever. Throughout the game, people bring him food.
Hey, they got good food in Yankee Stadium.
They do.
They do, but I mean, it's tough. You got to eat, I guess, during the break, and you know, because you got to talk. Usually, that's your job.
That's why they have cough buttons.
Exactly. Well, Michael, we've been looking forward to having you on, man. It was great to catch up with you. You've got your show at 3 coming up.
3:00. Yep.
All right. So for fans that want a little more of Michael K, check out his show. Obviously, back on Yanks coming up in spring training. So appreciate you, Michael. Thank you.
Anytime, guys. It's been fun. Thank you.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Michael K with us on FT Live. Good stuff. How much do you eat? A lot actually during the broadcasts?
Not
a lot, but you'll get like a premier.
Yeah,
item.
They'll send, because we kind of do a thing now where I do whatever stadium I'm in.
I like that.
Something.
Yeah,
it's cool, and they send us all kinds of stuff. So I mean,
great way to get free food.
Great way to get free food, and also, I mean, it gets it out there for like I'll put it on my Instagram and my Twitter, and you know, people like to see it, and then people go and order it. It's good for the stadium. It's good for the companies. I mean, it's fun. Plus, it's good for my fat belly. So, I mean, it's good. And some of these stadiums have outstanding food.
Yes,
outstanding food. And plus, you know, when it's free, I'll take 3. You know.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, let's stay on the Yanks for a sec. BetMGM World Series odds. Wait, close your eyes. Both of you, close your eyes. Have you seen it yet?
Nope.
Have you seen their odds for this year?
No.
What do you think the Yankees World Series odds? And if you want me to give you a hint of like where they were at last year, or you don't care, you know what the odds look like for other teams.
I'm saying plus 900.
Todd?
I'm saying plus 600.
How did you know? Did you really go plus 900? And did you peak?
I swear to God I didn't.
It's plus 900
Oh,
this
that's
year.
awesome.
Good job.
I was going to go 1,000, but that seemed high because a lot of fans bet on the Yankees. So I was like, they'll put it under 1,000.
They did. They were plus 800 entering last season. By midseason, they were in 4th place by that point on July 10th.
Todd knows who to bet on. I just can guess the odds really well.
So would you guys throw a hundo down to win 900? I mean, Todd Father's a little biased, but yeah.
I would put 500 down.
Hey how we doing?
All right, well,
I mean, I'm not
named the Borgata that'll happily take your money.
Forget that. There's an app.
Listen, I feel like if they are healthy, they got just as much of a shot like anybody else. And that's the big if. If everybody can be consistent in what they do, if Carlos Rodon comes back, Nestor Cortez, and these big guns play like they're supposed to, I feel like they could be right in the mix.
Listen, and you know one thing the Yankees are going to do, if they're in it, they're going to go make some moves and try to win.
Yep.
So, I mean, listen, like Michael K said, Rodon's huge. Which Stroman are they getting? Can Stanton stay healthy? Is Rizzo? I mean, they got a lot of question marks, right? But if it all lines up, talent-wise, they're right there with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they can compete with anybody as long as it all lines up. Now, will it all line up? We don't know, but they definitely have a chance.
I agree. The pitching is more of a concern for me than the offense, which is surprising because Todd Father, I mean, you had to suffer through watching a lot of bad games on offense for this team last year that was uncharacteristic. I mean, they play in a ballpark that, was homer happy, and there were often times you get to the second half of the lineup and you're just like, oh, here we go. We'll just flip it around nice and quick here. But I don't think that'll be the problem. I just think there are, like the word you guys used on that interview just now, a lot of variables with that starting rotation. And to me, it's risky. It's risky. I need one more in there. In my mind, I need one more. It can't just always be on Cole.
I agree. If Nestor and Rodon come back and are even somewhat better than what they did Nestor had a good year. I mean, he got hurt, but still, if they do anything better than what they did last year, they're going to be better off. I'm not going to say they're going to be great, but they're going to be better off.
Yeah, Rodon. I mean, you can't be worse than what happened to him last year. Well, first off, he barely pitched, but when he did, I mean, he didn't look right. So I like it.
He did give though.
Yeah. I hope that he shoves this year and does the same thing.
I got to ask you, I saw the video of Jermaine Dye. He hit the home run today. It's his birthday, right?
It was yesterday's 50th.
Yesterday's. Yeah. All right, whatever. I just saw it today, and you screamed something at Roger Clemens. What'd you say?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Come on, man.
Get your old ass off the mound. And then he left
you
after
said something about pitching. I was trying to
I don't know. Probably because he had already thrown at me and thrown at everyone. I don't know. I hated him. Listen, I love Roger now.
Now
but playing again, did you face him? You never faced him, did you?
No. I was.
Dude, he was a son of a bitch, dude. Because you get a hit off of him, and the next pitch, it was like, guaranteed.
I love
it. It was unbelievable, and nobody would do anything about it. You're like, dude, like we all literally. There was a guy I played with named Chad Allen, right? Who was a Texas guy, and like, oh my god, I love Roger Clemens. He went like 3 for 3 to start his career. Next time he faced him, first pitch, right in his head, ducks. Next pitch, right in his head, ducks. We're like, hey, he's throwing at him. The umpire's like, oh, no, he's not. It's Roger Clemens. What am I going to do?
Unbelievable.
That's how it was, though. He had the Nolan Ryan, Bob Gibson.
Oh, 100%.
F it, I'm throwing at you.
He was a son of a bitch to face him, I'm telling you. And I'll tell you what, Todd, I'll tell you why I was pissed about that was because we talked about this with Roger. I don't think you were on one time. But in 2004, the year before, we played him. We lost. I was with the Giants. We missed the playoffs by one game. They beat us the last day of the year by one game. The Astros did. He was on the Astros that year. The first game he pitched in Houston. So this is the normal size plate. I'm going to try to center this. The plate that night in Houston, it was his first start, was
I can't see your hands.
Exactly. That's the point. It was that big. And I talked about it with him when he had him on. I was like, dude, do you remember that story? He's like, oh, that was one of the greatest strike zones I ever had. And I was like, no shit. If Barry didn't swing, I mean, they were calling it like, again, plate for me, plate for Barry, a little bit different size, right? But I mean, the umpire was calling balls. Yeah, Barry's strike zone was like this, dude. It was
that's when you catch it. So I got the glove here. This is AJ when Barry's went up. He'd catch it, boom, ball. Come again?
Oh yeah. But listen, I mean, that was when it was cool though, because guys earn stuff like that. Like Clemens, listen.
Of course.
He earned it. I mean, there were certain dudes that just earned, like Maddox and those guys.
But for you two players, real quick, do you believe that should exist?
No, but it doesn't anymore.
No, it doesn't anymore. That's what I'm saying. Well, here, I want to bring this into our next combo. But first off, place your first BetMGM sportsbook wager through the app of at least $5, and you'll receive $158 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcomes. Once you have that bet placed in the app, if you're a new user and you place the bet at standard odds price, you'll receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So this is what I want to do. I want to re-rack this one more time. I get your take and then bring it right into our next guest, Freddy Peralta. Todd Father, do you believe that there should be a different strike zone for a legendary player versus a rookie pitcher? Or should they get the exact same calls? Whatever, pitcher, hitter, vice versa. Should it change based on who it is?
It should not. I don't think it should. No.
I agree. AJ?
Nope.
I mean,
you're thinking about it.
I mean, listen, should it be egregious? No. But should certain guys get the benefit of the doubt? I mean, it happens in other sports. It happens in the NBA.
I agree. Benefit of the doubt. I agree. But if it's on the plate And the guy,
Listen, I told the story.
Yeah, go ahead. You go.
I told the story in spring training. Cal Ripken. I was catching my first spring big league camp. Cal Ripken comes up 0-2 right down the middle. Ball. Umpire Ken Kaiser, old guy. Ken, where Tom Kelly's screaming at me, where the fuck's that pitch? And I'm like, Ken, the manager, I don't know you, but he's like, listen, kid, next pitch, Cal hits a home run. Where the fuck? Tom Kelly, what the fuck, Ken? What the fuck? All the fucking strikes on right? I'm like, oh God. Like, he's the manager's asking me. He goes, son, you see these 12,000 people in the stands? They ain't come here to see Cal Ripken strike out.
Wow.
Okay, I'll tell him that. Next hitter is Joe Carter, 0-2, right down the middle, ball. I go, hey, Ken, Tom Kelly, what the fuck, Ken? Call fucking strikes. I'm like, hey, Ken, what do you think? He goes, tell TK to shut up. I go, should I tell him they didn't come here to see Joe Carter strike out too? He's like, yeah, next pitch, homer. I'm like, fuck. This is how the big leagues are.
But to me, that's like sports entertainment. That's like WWE. Hey, we're just putting on a show. I mean you got to have some integrity. I know.
Training. But, the kid we had, it was a guy pitching. He was trying to make the team. TK's like, this guy's trying to make the team.
Yeah, he probably didn't make the team.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's bring that into our guest.
Someone's food out of their mouth, bro.
I agree. Freddy Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers back with us. Freddie, settle this for us, man. Hey, how we doing?
T.
All right. You work
T.
hard in the off season. You show it off. Let's go.
Scott's about to take his shirt off.
Let's go.
Go ahead, Scott. You won't.
I just came from workout. Sorry.
No, I like it. I like it. We're all about it.
Remember Eloy the other day? He
Eloy
had the same
Jimenez.
thing.
Yeah. He had the same thing going. He had the sleeveless hoodie going right before the workout.
How you guys doing?
We're good. So, Freddie, I have a question for you right off the jump here, okay? So, who's your favorite pitcher ever?
Pedro.
Okay. So, let's say you get one at-bat ever to face Pedro Martinez, and you're a rookie, and I know you're a pitcher, but you get to face him, okay? This is your idol. And you dig in, and he throws you 4 consecutive balls that are way outside the strike zone, or 3 consecutive balls way outside the strike zone, and the ump calls strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Do you think that's fair? Because at times in the past, that's how it used to be. I'm not saying for Pedro. We were using Clemens and Cal Ripken and other legends as an example. Do you think it's fair? Do you like the way the game is now where they're actually held more accountable?
No, I don't think it's fair. I think strikes have to be strikes, no, like because you are Pedro or because you are somebody else.
Oh, bullshit.
No, I don't think.
Bullshit, because if you're pitching and you're getting like this far off the plate, if you're getting, as Todd says, 4.5 inches, which is huge off the plate, you're like, oh man, I'm going to be good today.
Yeah.
This umpire is giving me everything.
Of course, I'm going to feel good about it, but I think it has to be fair.
Oh yeah, fair when you're not pitching.
What about you? When you were before you retired, what about you? What do you think?
I wanted every call. I didn't care if it was bowlers. I wanted them all. Fighting for my pitchers like crazy.
Yeah, of course.
If the
ball was be this far off, I'd be like, that's a strike. Why aren't you calling it? Hit my glove. That ball's a foot off the plate. I'm like, so I hit my glove.
What about when you were on the plate? When you were facing the pitch?
It didn't get that far because I swung, so it never got that far. I was like, Todd, they threw the rosin bag at me. I'm swinging like the Bugs Bunny. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2,
3. Okay.
Hey, Big Dog, good to see you again. Rhys Hoskins, the new Brew Crew, man. All of a sudden, we didn't know where he was going. I feel like this is a really good pickup for you guys. He was injured all last year. Talk a little bit about Rhys and what he's going to bring to the table for the Brew Crew today.
Man, I was, when I see the news, I was excited about it, and it was great for us, great move. I was waiting for it. I didn't, I wasn't getting so happy before we signed because we never know, but I knew that we still have to sign at first base, and he was probably the best guy for me in the market right now. And I think that it's gonna be great for us. I faced him a lot of times, and it was tough for me. And facing that guy, he's strong, powerful. He plays every day when he's healthy, and I know that he's gonna cover like a huge space in our lineup, especially because we have some power hitters already too, and adding him is gonna be great for us.
So, Freddie, at times, the Brewers have fallen short, and you've been on this team for years now, and it's felt like they're maybe a bat or two away. Do you feel like this kind of move could be that one bat that makes a difference, especially with, the way that teams have been able to overcome, bigger opponents in the playoffs? Like, look at the Diamondbacks making it to the World Series this past season. So I think your management, right, just said, forget those Corbin Burns trade rumors. We're adding a 40 homer bat. So what do you think?
I think that you're right. We've been trying so hard and we've been, in the right spot, but at some point, then you can feel that there's something that we probably need, like another bat in the lineup, because there were some moments, huge moments in those games that that you need somebody here, somebody in that situation that we like him. Uh, and like you say, yeah, I think everybody were expecting, all the people, fans, and around people around, they were like waiting or expecting something different from the team, but I think that we have a lot of chance to keep going and do better this year.
Do you know about Rhys Hoskins as a person? Because I've covered him for years in the game. He is one of the nicer guys and also a great clubhouse presence. So do you know about Rhys Hoskins? Do you think that he has a chance to be number one in the power rankings of nicest players on the Milwaukee Brewers? Because I don't know who's number one on the list right now. Let us know.
Well, Rowdy's gone.
Rowdy's gone. So you lost the nicest player. So who is right now number one on the power rankings for nicest player? You walk in that clubhouse, you go, oh, I need a smile or I need someone to pick me up. I'm going to who?
I already asked, and there's great news about him. What I heard too is that he was like one of his team to sign during this offseason. Was his choice. One of his choice was like the Brewers, and I think that's very good for us. It means a lot for us too. And I asked about his personality, and they said the people that I asked, they gave me like a thumb up about him. And I gotta wait and see. I'm gonna try and ask him a lot of questions too about the past, because when I was facing him all the time, it was kind of like a little hard for me to make him out, because I don't know, I couldn't see like his swing and all that kind of stuff. And it's gonna be a good person to ask some questions, and I think that probably is gonna be the guy that you just say, like uh, somebody that you can come and ask for things in the clubhouse. Let's see, let's see. I have good vibes, and I think that he's gonna be a great for us and good guy, good clubhouse guy too.
Hey, Freddie, do you have any children?
Two.
You have two. Okay, so my question to you would be, who on the Brewers team would you let babysit your children? So you got to find the nicest guy, the guy that's nice and homey, that'll make sure they're eating right, tucked in, put in bed, all that kind of stuff. You want to go out in the town with, with whomever you want to go out with. Who would be the babysitter on that team? You got one guy you got to pick from, though.
One. My God. Right now, I think that I'm gonna be comfortable leaving the kids with Willie. He's gonna be a good guy. He likes to
Okay.
play with the kids. Yeah, yeah, yeah. With him. There's some guys that that I don't trust because I know them like probably gonna be do something else and they're gonna forget about them. But I think Willie is gonna be the right person.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm going to move on here. Off season, I always talk about this, how you plan, how you get ready. We're getting closer to the season now. How many times, do you throw every day? How are you working out? You still hitting the gym hard? Tell everybody what it is like right now, 3 weeks left. Are you slowing it down? Are you ramping it up? Talk to us about, besides, we know you're working out, hitting the gym. How about throwing wise? Is the arm ready to rock here pretty soon?
Yes. My first live VP is gonna be on Friday. Uh, my arm is ready to go. One of the things that I like to do in the off season is get put my arm in a position that I know that is probably like 90% before throwing live VP. And then the live VP for me is like just to play a little bit around with all the different pitches, because what I have to make sure is that the arm is good. I don't try to be on the live VP just like I want to see how I feel. I want to see how the pitch. No, I just try together just to see everything is working, and that's where I am right now. Just waiting for Friday, for my first live VP, and I'm throwing. Before that, I'm throwing 6 times a week. I only rest one time. Sometimes, most of the time, is Wednesday or Sunday. Is other days that I choose for letting my arm like rest a little bit. That's how it worked for me. Everybody's different, but that's how I do, and that's how I feel good.
Everyone's different, Scott. Even you.
Oh, I know I'm different.
Hey, a couple quick things on an ex-teammate and soon to be a teammate. You saw Hader sign with the Astros. He got paid. Did you call him and say you're taking me to dinner, or?
You know what? I haven't called him yet, and we are. And like, I was so happy about him, and I was talking with yesterday and 2 days ago. We were having conversation about the past, about how everything started, and all that, making stories like trying to remember about everything, and somebody said like I just texted him and he was happy about it too, and I was like, my God, I haven't called him on testing yet about his contract, and I feel bad about it, and now I feel like what should I do? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel a little weird now, but I
Pick
gonna
up the
call him
phone.
right after
You need to
right
call
after
him.
this. I gonna call him.
Yeah.
It's
You
only
need to
been a
call.
week. It's fine.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
I
you
for,
know
I
what you
for,
say? Hey, I figured everyone was calling you, so I just wanted to let it all pass before I called you. And then he's like, "Oh man, that Freddie, what a
yeah,
good guy
it's
he
good
is."
idea.
He,
I was
yeah,
giving
there.
you I was giving you some breed. Just I knew that you were
Yes,
getting a lot of
yes,
calls from
yes.
people. Yeah,
100%.
that's
Now, have you talked to another rich guy in Jackson Churio?
not yet. He's not here yet. I don't know. I think that I don't know, but I'm in AC. I'm in Arizona.
So are you
So
gonna make him take you to dinner, or are you gonna take? Because I mean, he got.
Who's richer?
I don't know. I think it
he's
might be
he's
Churio.
richer.
Yeah, exactly. The rookie's gonna be buying you a suit.
No, not only me. I gonna make sure to let some of the guys know, like position players. Hey, we all going on you.
Yeah, I like it. I like
It's
it.
He's
gonna be on
19.
you.
19, he can't even buy you a beer, but he can buy you dinner.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and a good steak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Good
sure.
steak for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
What would be your advice to him? Because I'm sure he's going to be coming in. It's going to be, mostly obviously some comfort knowing that he's rich regardless, but also I'm sure he anxiously wants to play in the big leagues from day one. And I just heard Matt Arnold, your general manager, say yesterday, he's still got to earn it in spring training to be up on the big league club. I feel like it's kind of a lock unless he really struggles. But if he sits down with you and says, hey, dude, like, what do you think I need to do besides just put up big numbers in spring training and to be successful right from the jump in the big leagues? What are you telling him?
I think most important for me is like keep humble, like keep trying, no matter where you are or that you sign a contract or whatever. It's just like just be yourself every day, work, respect your teammates, try to help somebody every day. Like enjoy the moment, but don't. Some people try to because you get a contract because this is, so, people change. But I hopefully that this is not the case, and I think I think that he's gonna have some good people around just to let him know like how to begin like in a big league career, how to have a routine, and he's gonna have. I think that this is a great clubhouse for those kind of guys, for rookies, because there's always like good people around you, and I think that we have some veteran players like Willie, Christian. He's gonna be around people, around players that they're gonna give you some advice if you need it and take you for the right way.
Yeah, I like that. Christian's actually a good example, Yelich, because it's like, hey, dude, you want to play well? You're rich already. That's cool, right? He's at least got
Hmm.
82 million bucks on his contract, but there's other numbers to throw at him. If you're really
Yeah,
good, that contract could
exactly.
be worth as much as 142 and a half. And if you're really, really good, you still get to free agency before age 30 and can get another 2 or 300 mil, and you're buying everybody
Hmm.
boats at that point. So,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You just say
sky's
that.
the
That's
limit for
right.
him.
Hmm.
Question for you, Freddie. So, going back to Hader for a sec, you remember when he was with the team and he went through the crappy arbitration, which Burns has gone through in the past too. And some of us on this show haven't liked the way that some fans have gone after Josh, saying, oh, he needs to pitch more than one inning. And there was like one time at the end of the season with the Padres where, it sounded like Bob Melvin wanted him to come in the game in the eighth, and he's sticking to his 3 outs in the ninth inning. And do you think that's fair for fans to criticize that? Because it seems like once he became a solid ninth inning guy, you saw the consistency and obviously the injury prevention from him, and he's made himself really the best closer, if not a top 3 closer in the sport.
I don't think that's fair. I think, uh, man, the brother. I call him brother. So Hater is, man. What? How can I explain this? He's probably one. If he's not the first, he probably one of the best routine guys that I have seen in my whole career. He has, you can see as soon that he gets to the stadium, to the ballpark, he has his routine. Like he created a strong routine since the spring training. You can see that he's doing something that is what works for him. He's always doing something. That that he's not doing something stupid. You know what he's doing. You can see, and he's ready for every day. If you need Header to throw the nine, he's gonna be ready. I don't think that he's gonna be the guy that what people asking, that what fans asking to him, like in the past, not right now, but they were asking like you say, oh, we need him for 4 hours, for 5 hours. It's not easy to do that, especially for him. uh, it's hard to be available. Like if you throw 4 hours and then be ready next day and the next day again, it's not easy for anybody. And I think he's, like you say, he's, for me, he's the best closer in the game. And you can see that he's always available and he know what he's doing all the time that he's on the mound. He's very example. He's the best example of how to control situation, how to pitch in the ninth inning. He's great for me. He's a great pitcher, great example as a professional, and great person too. I think, like you say, I don't agree with that. I think that he is supposed to do what he's been doing is only to get 3 hours. If in some point he asks for another one, that's him asking for another one. But I think uh, only one inning is good enough for him.
Hey, I got a couple part question. First off, when did you start speaking English? When did you learn English?
Well, is that bad or
What?
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 It's
No,
too
it's
bad. My
great.
English
It's
is too
great.
bad. It's good.
I think your English is phenomenal. I think it's awesome, man.
Oh, thank you, thank you. My first year here in US, it was in 2014. I played in the ACL. Uh, I just start. By that time, I was talking with the other players, with my teammates, and but I didn't get anything from. Hopefully, that nobody get offended with this, but I think that to have a teacher, English teacher is good, but I think the more important for us or for somebody that want to speak any language is watch TV and don't be afraid to talk with another person or in that language, because that's what's gonna help you to get better. I think that's the way that I did it, and I still have a lot to learn, but I feel comfortable talking.
Yeah, and I think you answered pretty much my second one. I mean, I can see you being a guy that helps out the other Latin guys too as well,
Yeah.
along the way, and it's helped you immensely, probably knowing English probably along the way as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, you like English so much, I got to know, because all your tattoos are in English, no Espanol. Discipline, respect, impossible. How come they're in English and not in Spanish?
Yeah, you're right. I don't have not. Oh yeah. Oh no, I don't have any. I don't have any tattoos in Spanish. You're right.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know for some reason.
Because the one right here is impossible, right? This one's impossible, right? And then respect and discipline.
Yeah, and the
right?
other one here is like imagine.
Yeah, Imagine
I don't know if you
Dragons,
can see it.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Yeah, okay.
That's not what it is. It's Imagine.
And I have
yeah.
another one in my leg, inside part of the leg. So
What does that one say?
Can't show that one.
No, I know. But what does it say?
AJ wants to know.
I just want to know what it says. I don't want to see it.
He wants to see it.
Is dreams without goals are just dream, and they ultimately feel disappointment.
Oh,
Nice. I
all
like
right.
that. What about this one? Can you show us this one? Because it's nice art. No, I want to see. We never get to
Oh,
see on
this
your
one
left
here?
arm. Oh, well, that one's nice.
Yeah. It says Hakuna Matata. It means no worries.
Oh,
Nice.
big
I
Lion
like
King
that.
fan.
Wait.
What about the other arm?
Left forearm. Left forearm. What's the one? The face.
No,
the
dude,
face.
backwards. It's backwards.
Oh,
on TV. Right
this-
forearm.
Oh, it's your right.
I don't
Sorry,
know
I'm
if you
looking.
see it, but this is my dad right here, my mom.
Oh, I
Over
love
here.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I thought he was gonna go like this, and they would like kiss. Like I thought if you like,
Oh.
I thought he was gonna go like this, and they would kiss.
One
You know what I'm
touch the
saying?
other.
So like if he
Yeah.
went, he was like this, and then the mom and the dad would kiss.
Yeah.
So I have
Well,
my brother
whoever did your work, well done. Elite.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Good
You're
stuff.
good. Yeah, it's great. Well, Freddie, awesome catching up with you, man. I like catching you post-workout. Post-workout, Freddie's great. So
Yeah, thank you. I just got home.
Go hop in
Feeling
the shower, big dog. I can smell you from here. Let's go.
Oh,
Stop. Freddie, we'll see you in Arizona, man. We'll catch you in a few weeks, all right? Good catching up with you.
sounds good, man. All right. Have a good day.
You
Thanks,
too.
Freddie.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Freddie Peralta with us
Thank
on FT Live. Great stuff. That was fun.
He's funny, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's good.
I like getting the breakdown. I think that's like a good segment.
Mhm.
If you've got a lot of art, let's see it.
I mean, take your shirt off. Show off yours.
Scott, I
I'm
was
saving it.
hoping your shirt would have been off to show, or had put like one of those tank tops on while you were in break there.
I mean, have
The
you seen this
McAfee
hair
tank
today,
top.
Todd? Look at this hair
Stop,
today.
don't touch the
Have
hair
you seen
today.
his hair today?
It's like a little. What
It's
do
the
they call
first time
those
in the
things?
history of the show he
The
doesn't have it
curls.
floofed.
Yeah. You know why?
I don't.
I left my hair
left your
dryer.
hair products at home?
No, my hair dryer.
You got a hat you could have thrown on.
Nah.
You use a hair
going.
dryer?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
God, where are we?
I use a hair
dryer.
dryer.
What's wrong with a hair dryer?
You use a hair dryer too? What for?
I mean, because I got to get this
He's got-
shit right. Look at
Got
it.
floof.
Oh, grease it up with some gel and comb it over.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
Mm-mm.
Hair dryer.
Hair dryer is the way to go. It's
Yeah.
very sneaky. Very,
All
very
right.
It is. I
Very
discovered
sneaky.
it
I've just-
recent. Last few
I
years.
just go like this, and we're good to go.
Yeah, but you also have the Lloyd Christmas cut where it's like perfectly shaped. Where like remember in Dumb and Dumber, where he takes them and it's like perfectly straight, which is it's good. It works for you.
He also
Yeah,
has
no,
straight
it-
hair.
That's what I'm saying. It works
it's
for
an
I
him.
have
edge
curly
up.
hair.
It's an edge. It's called edge up. We're good.
Yeah, no, it looks like his looks good.
Yeah,
I don't
Todd
have
can
that
get
hair.
the fade. I can't do
I
that.
can't do that either.
Yeah.
Todd, you got the straight hair makes it easy.
Yeah. No,
I'm telling you.
I
Curls
I-
are
See, his hair goes down. If I cut my hair like that, it would go straight up.
Oh, see,
Yep.
if I let my hair grow, I need like a whole year to get it even where Scott is. It would take me at least a year.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, as much as I love talking about this topic, and this will be a separate pod, let's actually get to breaking news. Aaron Hicks has signed with the Angels to join their outfield, and he will sign for the league minimum because he is still on the books with the New York Yankees through, I believe, the 2025 season. I think they're still paying him through. Obviously, the Yanks let him go last year. He goes on to the Orioles, and he played pretty damn well with Baltimore. Last year with Baltimore, in 236 plate appearances, 278, 381 on base, 425 slug. He had a 47 OPS plus, I think.
47?
Yeah, with the Yankees.
Oh.
No, 47.
I was gonna say, geez.
And one homer with the
I don't know what
Yankees. They
any of
cut
that
him in
means.
mid-May.
Anytime you say those kind of numbers, I have no clue what you're saying.
The only one I bring up is OPS plus to keep it simple. Todd, 100's league average.
On base percentage and slugging percentage, right? Together?
Yeah, but how about this? League average hitter in MLB this past season, right? 100.
Okay.
It's always 100. That's the scale. Aaron Hicks with the Yankees was at a 47, which is like, it's not a big leaguer. It's beyond low.
Okay.
Anything really, once you start going below like 80, you shouldn't be in the big leagues, even if you're a good defender. So he was well below that mark. He had been struggling for years with the Yanks. That contract, that 7 years, 70, runs through 2025. So the Yanks are paying everything except for the league minimum, which the Angels now will pay up. And the Angels have work to do with their whole roster. So I like this signing. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Any problems with this?
Now we can get him on the show.
Finally.
He said he'd come on in spring training. He said he would come on.
All right, we'll get him.
Come on.
They've got a good mix. So let me run this out for you, okay? So obviously Trout, when he's healthy, is playing center field. He'll probably mix in some DH as he's dealt with some injuries. Mickey Moniak really came on strong for them last year. He was good. Taylor Ward has had flashes where he was really good.
He was really good a couple years ago.
Years ago, he was awesome. Yeah. Last year, numbers ticked back down. The name that people are going to look at and talk about is Joe Adell, because he's been a big prospect in their system for years and just hasn't been able to put it together in the bigs. But he's been a quad A player.
Every year he goes to Salt Lake, he hits 30 homers.
Yeah. This is it for him, though. He's out of options, I believe. So Aaron Hicks is the push.
Basically taking his job.
Isn't he in Cali? He's in Cali. He's a Cali guy, too, isn't he?
Who's Joe Adell?
Joe Adell
No.
or Aaron Hicks?
Aaron Hicks, sorry.
Hicks is the California guy, I thought.
Yeah. Well, you know what he gets to do out there.
Collect New York's
every
money?
day. Besides that, what does he do
golf?
in the mornings?
Play golf?
Hell yeah.
We'll see.
Nice. I feel like this, if in a good world for him, this could be his last year, and then boom, hit the links and try and get a card or whatever and see what he can do.
He's not that
with
good. He's
not that good.
He's not that good.
Oh wow.
There's a Jeff McNeil, when we had him on, he said it. He won the celebrity division, and he got stomped by Lydia Ko and as an LPGA player. The difference between a guy that is a club pro / plus guy like McNeil and a PGA tour is so big that people think, he's a scratch golfer. He's my club pro. He's my club champion. PGA guys smash those guys.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah. What place did he come in on that?
I think he finished 8th, maybe 8th. He was in the. I think
top 10.
8th. Yeah, he was top 10.
That's commendable. Yeah, he was 8th.
Yeah, he's fantastic. But anyway, I mean, to me, it's a league minimum contract for someone like Aaron Hicks, who probably shouldn't be getting league minimum based on what he did with the Orioles. I would have thought maybe a few $1 million. The reason he gets the league minimum, this a little education, is he's already getting paid. So you're just taking money out of what he would get from the Yankees.
Yeah.
So these players signed for the league minimum, and he wants to keep playing. He clearly looked like he was a big leaguer in the second half of last season. So I think it's a nice pickup for the Angels.
I think it's great. Good for Aaron. Close to home from Long Beach. Good for him.
Yeah. And he wants to go to a place where he's going to have a shot to play.
What's league minimum right now? It changes every year.
740.
740?
740 right now. Yep. So anyway, let's do another signing that actually has a little more juice to it in terms of cash. The Royals are at it again. Did you see who they signed this weekend? Adam Frazier. In the weeds we go.
Hey, my cousin.
That's right. 1 year, $4.5 million. That's, in my mind, one of the most KC signings ever, and he'll probably be a White Sox the year after, right? But, I mean, they have Garrett Hampson, guys that can kind of play all over. He's going to make contact. I think he's a good player. And do you think that for this model of baseball that is shifting a little bit more
It's more contact. It's going a little more contact,
Yeah.
speed guys, certain positions. Yeah, listen. I like he was a good player, especially early last year for the Orioles. I mean, he was a good player last year, and this is great. Listen, it's another piece for the Royals in their whatever they want to call it. Whatever. That's not really a rebuild because they're bringing in a lot of veterans, but it's another nice veteran piece that can help them down the stretch and see if they can compete in the Central.
Yeah.
Nice little backup plan too. I mean, if in case they want a younger guy to come up, he's always there, ready to rock. You know what I mean?
He had a little more power last year too.
Mm-hmm. That was on purpose. I remember them talking about that early in the year.
What, they wanted him to tap into it?
He wanted to figure out how to hit the ball in the air a little more.
He did it. He had 13 home runs last season. I mean, let me do the math. So, ready? I'll give you some numbers from previous years. 2022, he had 3 homers. 2021, he had 5. Actually, he had 7 in 2020, the shortened season. And the only other time he hit double digits was 18 and 19. He had 10. So that was his career high last season in a good Baltimore lineup. Not bad, right?
No,
For
not
Kansas
bad
City?
at all.
Yeah,
Another
good for
little
him.
nice.
He's a typical kind of Kansas City player too. Can play a bunch of positions, little speed, left-handed hitter, can run a little bit. I mean, it's good defensively. It's a good Kansas City signing.
Where do we have the Royals in the Central right now?
I mean, second or third probably.
Wow, really? They could be second?
Are they better than the White Sox?
Yes.
Are they better than the Guardians? It's close.
Close.
Are they better than the Tigers?
No,
Okay.
I like the Tigers better.
Okay, it's close.
So you have the Twins and then maybe the Royals.
Royals, Tigers probably battling for second right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But look at that. The Royals were a 100-plus loss team last year.
Yeah, but they upgraded the things they need to upgrade. Pitching,
Yeah.
starting pitching, and they made some nice moves. I commend teams that are trying.
Yeah,
So I want
do
them.
too.
I want them to be good. I want the Tigers to be good too because they've tried over the years. They've signed guys to contracts. So I want those teams to be good.
Well, on that note, they did that this past weekend. It's a guy that most people don't know unless you're deep in the prospect world. Not even deep. I mean, he's top 30 on most publications, including Baseball America. Cole Keith signs an extension. I'll give you the breakdown of the numbers. So Colt has not played a game in the big leagues yet. 6 years, $28.6 million, signed at least through the 2029 season. There are club options for, it's crazy to say this, 2030, 2031, and 2032 that could max the deal out at 9 years, $82 million. But the original deal, I was looking back, it's very similar to a couple other extensions.
Kingery,
And Evan White. They signed a few years ago for 6 years, 24, and he's 6 years, 28.6.
I like this.
This dude can rake too. The problem with him is they don't know if he'll be able to stick at second or third, but he can hit. It's almost like not the same exact offensive profile, but you know how Edward Julian, you watch him, you're like, this dude's a big league hitter. I don't know where he's playing, but he's a big league hitter. It's like that for me.
I love this deal for the Tigers. I love it for Keith. It's just a good deal. I mean, you always say get your first one. To sign a deal like this before you play one big league game is kind of cool. And listen, he's set for life, and the rest is just whatever. But I mean, I like teams that do this. If they believe in a guy and you can get a guy to lock into something like this, I mean, it's hard. It's hard as a player. Jackson Churio is another one. Like, it's hard for a player to turn something. His agent's probably saying, like, you can make more. He's like, fuck that. I got $28,642,500 guaranteed. Even if I go out and God forbid something happens, you get injured. I have that.
And if he's a star, that contract with the club options, Todd, takes him through his age 30 season. Not going to get, the Soto, whatever he gets, 15-year, whatever, right? But still, if he's a star, he can get another big deal.
Does this guarantee him a spot in the big leagues this year?
I think he'll probably be with the ball club on opening day. The bat has nothing left to prove in the minor leagues. He hit in AA and AAA together last year, 932 OPS. And the exit velo, the barrel rates, everything was good. Like, he looks like he's ready to go. That's why I like the Tigers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's bats. I think there's bats that are coming, right? Okay. And some bats that are going to keep taking steps, like Torkelson, Riley Green. They brought on Canna, Keith, maybe to start the year at second or third. So I thought it was good. Todd's yawning. He thinks it's boring.
I had a tough night.
You think it's boring that the dude made $30 million?
Tough night last night, man. My
bad. But do you think that this leads to more of this from the Tigers? Because they actually have a young core that they could start going after with signings. I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
Jackson Jobe, pitching-wise. Riley Green is the guy I'm looking to lock up.
With the pitchers, though.
Yeah.
A lot of them got hurt.
Someone's raising their hand in the back of the room. Yes?
Yeah, I didn't want to see me yawn. But why don't the Orioles do this? They got a bunch of dudes.
We've had this guy. We've fought this.
Right? I don't want to jump into it, but I'm saying that's a team that could do it. That's all I wanted to say.
They could have done it years back. This is the thing. What I don't understand is if you're Baltimore, right, and you have players like this, why don't you go to them when they're in the minor leagues and throw it at multiple guys, right? If you think there's a few that belong in that realm, I want to know, have they done that? I guarantee you they didn't do it, right? What is the downside if you've got a Rutschman or a Gunnar Henderson, and there are others too, but let's start there. I want to know, as a fan, did you go to them when they were in the minor leagues, getting close to coming up to the bigs, and throw them a Jackson Churio type of deal?
No. Yeah.
Why?
Because they don't believe in it.
It's just a massive mistake. Great. This is where you get bargains. Great. Colt Keith might turn into a star.
Ronald Acuna.
Ozzie Albies is on a cheap-ass deal, and there's an exchange that you make as a player versus what your upside is.
Riley.
So, props to them.
A whole bunch of them in the Braves.
Yep. All right. We're good to go. Let's slap hands. Shohei Ohtani addressing the crowd at the BBWAA awards dinner this past weekend. Did really well. We've got some sound on it. Let's run it.
Thank you, Dusty. I appreciate the introduction and the kind words. BBWAA, thank you for hosting such a great event and always making us feel welcome. To all the writers who voted for me, thank you. This MVP award is very prestigious, and winning this award means the world to me.
Oh, pretty darn good, man.
Yeah, nailed it. I liked when we saw Imanaga too in his intro press conference with the Cubs. Mm-hmm. So a little English. I know that's not easy to do. I would not be able to do that.
Chicago, what do you say? Cubs, that was really good.
That was awesome. Yeah. And I think we're all in unison. We want to get to know him more.
I want to hear more.
Let's get a little more Shohei this year. Now you're signed. Pressure's off. You're signed for life. Let's have a good time. Let's have some fun. I think he will open up more because of who he's around.
Well, Mookie and Freddie will get him. Get it out of him for sure.
They will. They'll keep that going. Do you know what this day is? 43 years ago.
I did. I texted Jerry Reinsdorf happy anniversary. He's probably like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
It's a big one.
I know. He bought the White Sox for $20 million.
Woo!
$20 million, baby.
It's a good return right there.
Woo!
That's a high five. And my last thing I want to do before we jump, because I saved this in the back of my head. Any other context, Todd Father, on that combo that you had with Gary Cohen? I thought that was fascinating. Like, when did it start?
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I know we got to run, but you know, it was one of those things where people kept telling me back home, this guy's cutting you up. He's cutting the Mets up. I'm like, that's what they do, blah, blah. And I start looking into it, blah, blah. Players like, he's always done this, man. We can't stand it. And I said, I went up to him at one time. I said, Gary, I got to talk to you, man. I said, what the heck's going on here, dude? I thought you're a Mets fan. He's like, I am. He kind of got pissed off at me. I said, well, then start rooting for us, blah, blah. We had our conversations back and forth. It was a good 5-minute conversation. And it was actually in front of some players too. So it was actually in front of people. And I said, and we got a newfound respect for what he does and what I do. And, it was fine after that. It was just one of those deals where, you just felt like I needed to bring something up to him, remind him you work for the Mets. I get it, but why not root for our team and root for our players instead of putting us down sometimes?
Did it strengthen the relationship?
Yeah. I mean, it was good. We didn't really talk that much after that, but it was just one of those things where, we're both men. If we have a problem, we go straight to the source. And that's how I've been raised. And I felt better about it, and I hope he did too.
And did it make more sense to you, lastly, that he's coming from a spot where he's like Michael Kay said, he's rooting for you guys, but he wants to keep it a little bit neutral in terms of how he calls the games?
Yeah, I mean, he's never going to change just because of what I said. But, I mean, It just gets in the back of his mind that, we're listening as well as people. We got families at home listening too, man. It's like, you don't always have to, knock us down. And that was part of the conversation. And I like I said, I hope he respected me for what I said, and I respected him for his comments back. So that's just what grown men do. If there's a problem, you talk it out and you move on. If we were on the road, I'm sure I would have said, "Hey, let's grab a beer at the bar," and that's it. But we were at home, so
I like that. We might have to get Gary on.
Let's do it.
Yeah, well, let's get him on.
Let's get him on. All right, we'll try.
Might not come on
later
later
this week or next week. No, Todd's got to be on.
I want on.
They're gonna be boys. I like that. I like hearing those stories because I come from that world too.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
The communication line should be open. We've got him open tomorrow with Ken Rosenthal, who wrote a great article about the Oakland A's. Check that out. You know how passionate I am on that topic. Nolan Gorman of the Cardinals joining us tomorrow, and Nathaniel Lowe of the Texas Rangers, the World Series winner, also on the guest list tomorrow. Todd Father's back on Thursday. Kipnis is on with us tomorrow. All right, everyone get some rest. I need to fix my allergies, man. I'm dying.
Happy New Year.
And my hair. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Someone said that on a show the other day. I'll show you afterward. Yes. Kendrick Perkins, I think. See you Tuesday.